Behind the thick, towering walls of America's most notorious prisons, there's a world that most people will never see. It's a world where power is earned, respect is everything, and loyalty can mean life or death. In this world, some names rise above the rest, not because of their size or strength, but because of their sheer influence and ability to control. These are the gang members who rule from within the prison system, shaping the lives of thousands and earning a reputation that carries fear and respect. Today, we're diving deep into the lives of the 10 most dangerous individuals who've ever walked the concrete floors of America's prisons. From masterminds of complex operations to leaders who control entire factions from their cells, these are the men whose actions are felt far beyond the prison gates. But what makes them so dangerous, and how did they rise to the top? Let's take a closer look at these feared figures behind bars and uncover the untold stories of their rise and fall. Number 10. Aldo "Sleepy" Garcia of Barrio Azteca. Aldo Garcia, or Sleepy as he was known, found his place within this dangerous world in the early 1990s. Garcia's early years in the gang were marked by a fierce dedication to its cause and a ruthless efficiency in carrying out orders. His moniker, Sleepy, belied his alertness and lethal effectiveness as an enforcer. He quickly climbed the ranks, gaining a reputation for his cold-blooded approach to violence and his strategic mind. By the mid-2000s, Garcia had secured a prominent position within the gang, commanding respect and fear from both allies and enemies. One story that highlights Garcia's dangerous nature occurred in 2008. During a particularly heated period of turf wars with a rival gang, Garcia orchestrated a series of brutal attacks to assert Barrio Azteca's dominance. In one such incident, Garcia led a team to ambush a rival convoy, resulting in a bloody shootout that left several people met their end. His meticulous planning and willingness to engage in open violence demonstrated his commitment to the gang's supremacy and his capability as a fearsome leader. Another event that showcased Garcia's lethal authority took place in 2010. As part of a crackdown on informants within the gang, Garcia personally executed a suspected traitor. This act of violence was meant to serve as a stern warning to others who might consider betraying the gang. The execution was carried out with a chilling precision that left no doubt about Garcia's resolve to maintain the gang's code of silence and loyalty. However, Garcia's reign of terror eventually drew the attention of law enforcement. Years of investigation into the Barrio Azteca's criminal activities culminated in Operation Knockout, a large-scale effort to dismantle the gang's leadership and operations. Through extensive surveillance, wiretaps, and the cooperation of former gang members, authorities gathered substantial evidence of Garcia's involvement in numerous crimes. On February 14, 2012, Aldo Garcia was arrested in a coordinated raid that saw the apprehension of several high-ranking Barrio Azteca members. The charges against him were severe with countless crimes. His arrest marked a significant victory for law enforcement, dealing a critical blow to the gang's operational structure. Garcia's trial began in August 2012, and the prosecution presented a damning case against him. Evidence of his violent acts, leadership role, and involvement in the gang's criminal enterprises was overwhelming. Witnesses, including former gang members, testified about his brutal methods and strategic mind. On November 20, 2012, Garcia was found guilty on all counts. In January 2013, Aldo "Sleepy" Garcia was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And today, Garcia is currently serving his sentence at the United States Penitentiary in Florence, Colorado. Number 9. Melvin Yu. Melvin Yu is a Chinese-American triad gangster born in 1961 who was a key member of the Chongqing Yi, also known as the Joe Boys, a notorious Chinese youth gang in San Francisco during the 1970s. The gang, originating from Hong Kong immigrants, was involved in a bitter feud with the Hua Qing Gang, another Chinatown-based group. Melvin Yu's name became infamous due to his involvement in the Golden Dragon Massacre, one of the most brutal and shocking gang-related incidents in San Francisco's history. This massacre, coupled with his criminal activities at the Dual Vocational Institution, DVI, cemented his reputation as a dangerous figure within the gang world. The Chongqing, or Joe Boys, was formed in the late 1960s after a faction split from the Huaqing gang. Melvin Yu, who joined the gang at a young age, quickly rose through the ranks due to his ruthlessness and loyalty to the gang's cause. By the time of the Golden Dragon Massacre in 1977, Yu had secured a prominent position within the Joe Boys, acting as one of their most trusted and feared enforcers. On September 4, 1977, at around 2:40 a.m., the streets of San Francisco's Chinatown were quiet when a blue Dodge Dart pulled up on Washington Street. Inside the car were 5 members of the Joe Boys, including Melvin Yu, all armed and masked, ready to execute a brutal attack. Their target was the leadership of the Huaqing gang, who were believed to be dining at the Golden Dragon restaurant, a popular Cantonese establishment. The attack was intended as retaliation for a long-standing feud that had escalated earlier that summer of July 4, 1977, where a shootout at the Ping Yuen housing project had resulted in the demise of Felix Huey, a Joe Boys member, and the wounding of Melvin Yu himself. The massacre was to be the Joe Boys' bloody retribution. As the masked gunmen entered the Golden Dragon restaurant, chaos erupted. They opened fire indiscriminately with shotguns and a submachine gun, sending the terrified patrons diving under tables for cover. Despite the intense barrage of bullets, the intended targets, the Huaqing leaders, managed to escape unscathed. However, the carnage left behind was horrific. 5 people were slaughtered, and 11 others were seriously injured. None of the victims were gang members. The aftermath of the Golden Dragon Massacre led to a massive manhunt by the San Francisco Police Department. The Asian Gang Task Force was established to tackle the rising gang violence in Chinatown. Melvin Yu, along with the other perpetrators, was eventually arrested. Yu was apprehended in March 1978, and his trial revealed his leading role in the massacre. Yu was convicted of multiple counts of manslaughter. On October 31, 1978, he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Number 8. Edward Rodriguez of the Tango Blast. Edward Rodriguez, a member of the Tango Blast gang, represents a dangerous figure in Texas's criminal landscape. His life of crime, marked by a series of escalating offenses, paints the picture of an individual deeply entrenched in unlawful activities, particularly within the confines of his gang affiliation. Rodriguez's affiliation with the notorious Tango Blast, a criminal street gang known for its influence and reach across Texas, is a significant aspect of his criminal identity. The gang, which recruits heavily from within the state, often draws members with a history of criminal behavior, and Rodriguez fit that mold perfectly. On November 24, 2018, Edward Rodriguez found himself at the center of a dramatic police pursuit that would eventually lead to a lengthy prison sentence. At approximately 5 a.m. that morning, Officer Michael St. Romain of the Splendora Police Department attempted to pull Rodriguez over for a routine traffic violation. Instead of complying, Rodriguez chose to flee, setting off a high-speed chase that would span over 20 miles in just 11 minutes. Rodriguez, driving a stolen 2016 Dodge Charger, maneuvered recklessly through early morning traffic on US 59, reaching speeds of up to 150 miles per hour. His disregard for public safety was evident, as he narrowly avoided collisions with multiple vehicles during the pursuit. The chase reached its climax when Rodriguez exited US 59 at Aldine Bender Road in Houston. Cornered at a dead end, Rodriguez made a final desperate attempt to escape by ramming his vehicle into the patrol car of Deputy Michael Aldrich of the Montgomery County Precinct 4 Constable's office. Despite his efforts, Rodriguez was apprehended, bringing an end to the dangerous pursuit. Fortunately, no one was harmed during the chase, but the event added another layer to Rodriguez's already extensive criminal record. In 2012, Rodriguez found himself back in prison for a second burglary of a habitation charge. His inability to stay away from criminal activities continued, leading to a conviction for theft in 2013 and another for criminal trespass in 2014. By 2016, Rodriguez had added a conviction for unlawfully carrying a weapon to his record, further cementing his reputation as a persistent offender. Number 7. James Byrd of the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. James Lamarck Birdman Byrd is a notorious figure within the ABT. Born around 1978, Byrd's criminal history is marked by extreme violence, sadistic acts, and unwavering loyalty to the ABT. Byrd's affiliation with the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas began during his time in federal prison, where he quickly climbed the ranks due to his brutal methods and dedication to the gang's cause. His rise within the ABT saw him become an outside major for Region 2, a position that placed him in charge of overseeing gang activities across a vast area that included Dallas, Fort Worth, Wichita Falls, and Hillsborough. Byrd's role made him one of the highest-ranking ABT members outside of prison, responsible for coordinating criminal enterprises and maintaining discipline within the gang. Byrd's criminal record is littered with heinous acts that underscore his dangerous personality and deep-seated commitment to the ABT's violent ideology. In one particularly gruesome incident, Byrd stabbed a man 37 times, leaving him for dead. These acts of violence were not random, but were often carried out to enforce gang rules or settle disputes within the ABT. Byrd's eyelids were even tattooed with the ABT logo, a permanent display of his allegiance to the gang. One of the most chilling crimes attributed to Byrd involved the abduction and assault of Lovick Halden Stikelether III, a former ABT member who had fallen out of favor with the gang. In February 2014, Byrd ordered ABT members to abduct Stikelether and bring him to a residence in Tarrant County. There, Byrd subjected Stikelether to a brutal interrogation, during which he kicked him, pointed a gun at him, and stabbed him twice in the shoulders. To further drive home his point about the consequences of disloyalty, Byrd dabbed a piece of bread in Stikelether's blood, ate half of it, and forced Stikelether to eat the other half. This sadistic ritual was meant to reinforce the idea that the Brotherhood came before all else and that betrayal would not be tolerated. This act of cannibalistic violence was meant to demonstrate his dominance and loyalty to the gang, and it became one of the most infamous stories associated with his name. Byrd's criminal activities eventually caught up with him. In August of an unspecified year, he was convicted of abducting and assault by a Tarrant County jury. His crimes, particularly those connected to his leadership role within the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, led to a 50-year prison sentence in a Texas state prison. Today, Byrd is currently serving his sentence in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, TDCJ, where he has been placed in solitary confinement due to his high-ranking position within the ABT and the threat he poses both inside and outside of prison. Number 6. Bobby Adams of the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. Bobby Adams is a founding member of the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas, ABT, emerged as one of the most dangerous figures within the gang's notorious ranks. Born and raised in Houston, Texas, Adams grew up in a challenging environment, surrounded by poverty and hardship. His rebellious nature and inclination toward crime began early, setting him on a path that would eventually lead to a lifetime behind bars. In 1981, Adams co-founded the ABT. Adams known as BA, Adams quickly rose through the ranks of the gang, earning a reputation for his ability to carry out tasks with precision and discretion. His talent for staying under the radar while engaging in illicit activities made him a valuable asset to the ABT, solidifying his position as one of the highest-ranked soldiers within the organization. The ABT, under Adams' influence, operated with a code of silence and loyalty, which initially made them a formidable force. They prided themselves on their ability to handle business without drawing unnecessary attention, a characteristic that B.A. exemplified. His involvement in the gang's operations included orchestrating violent assaults and coordinating illegal activities, all while maintaining a low profile that kept law enforcement at bay for years. However, as time passed, the values and structure of the ABT began to deteriorate. The younger generation of gang members, according to Adams, lacked the discipline and discretion that had once defined the organization. This shift led to increased chaos both within the prison walls and outside, as members sought to advance their status through reckless actions. Adams, now older and disillusioned, watched as the gang he had helped build descended into disarray, with members turning on each other and betraying the very principles that had once united them. Adams' disenchantment with the ABT grew to the point where he made the unprecedented decision to distance himself from the gang. At 54 years old, serving a life sentence as a habitual criminal, Adams saw no reason to remain affiliated with a group that no longer upheld the values he once believed in. His decision to leave the gang was a bold move. Despite his departure from the gang, Adams's past continued to haunt him. His criminal history, marked by a series of violent offenses, had already sealed his fate. Adams had been convicted of multiple crimes, including armed robbery, and his involvement in the ABT's operations only added to his notoriety. His life sentence, handed down due to his status as a habitual offender, ensured that he would spend the rest of his days behind bars. Adams is currently serving his sentence at a prison unit in Huntsville, Texas, a place that has been his home for nearly his entire adult life. Number 5. Ronald Yandell of the Aryan Brotherhood Gang. Yandell's criminal career began long before he became a central figure in the Aryan Brotherhood. Over the years, he amassed a record of violent offenses that landed him in California's prison system. His reputation for ruthlessness quickly grew, and it wasn't long before he was drawn into the ranks of the Aryan Brotherhood. Yandell's ability to navigate the treacherous waters of prison life, coupled with his brutal nature, earned him a leadership role within the gang. One of the defining moments in Yandell's criminal career came with his involvement in the termination of Hugo Pinell, an infamous inmate at California State Prison, Sacramento then. Pinell, who was a member of the Black Guerrilla family, had been a target for the Aryan Brotherhood for years due to his involvement in the slaughtering of several correctional officers during a failed prison escape in 1971. On August 12, 2015, Yandell orchestrated the attack that led to Pinell's demise, a move that solidified his standing within the Aryan Brotherhood as a man who could carry out the gang's most violent and high-profile orders. But Yandell's crimes did not end there. His leadership within the Aryan Brotherhood extended far beyond the termination of Pinell. He was later found guilty of conspiring to terminate multiple other inmates, including Kenneth Johnson, James Mickey, Paul Diaz, Michael Tripp, and Doug Maynard. These manslaughters were not random acts of violence, but were part of a calculated strategy to maintain control and instill fear, both within the prison system and outside it. Each act was designed to send a message, to demonstrate the Aryan Brotherhood's unyielding power and Yandell's willingness to enforce that power by any means necessary. Yandell's criminal activities were not limited to acts of violence. He was also deeply involved in the distribution of illicit substances. His role in coordinating the distribution of these substances, both inside and outside the prison, further underscored his influence and the reach of the Aryan Brotherhood. Through a network of associates and other gang members, Yandell helped to orchestrate a criminal enterprise that extended far beyond the prison walls. And despite the depth and breadth of his criminal activities, Yandell's downfall came as a result of the very crimes that had propelled him to power. A federal jury found Yandell, then 61 years old, guilty of multiple charges, including carnage in aid of racketeering, conspiracy to conduct the affairs of an enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute narcotics, and several counts of distribution of these substances. Yandell's journey through the California prison system eventually led him to Pelican Bay State Prison. It was here that Yandell continued his reign of terror, using his position within the Aryan Brotherhood to orchestrate violence and control the flow of illegal substances. Today, Ronald Yandell remains incarcerated as he continues to serve his sentence in Pelican Bay State's prison. Number 4. Omar Arzate of the Mexican Mafia Gang. Born into a world of crime, Arzate quickly made a name for himself on the streets of Los Angeles, where his early criminal activities caught the attention of law enforcement. His reputation as a fierce and unyielding enforcer grew, leading to his involvement with the Mexican Mafia. Arzate's entry into the California prison system marked the beginning of a new chapter in his criminal career. At the age of 29, he was sentenced to 29 years and 8 months. His crimes included assault with a machine gun, abduction, and criminal threats, each with enhancements for the use of an assault weapon, highlighting the severity of his actions. He was also handed a concurrent 3-year sentence for resisting and deterring an officer with threats of violence, further cementing his reputation as a dangerous individual. In April 2021, he will arrive in Pelican Bay State Prison, and within the confines of Pelican Bay, Arzate continued to exert influence and maintain his position within the Mexican Mafia. Known for his ruthlessness, Arzate was no stranger to orchestrating violence from behind bars. His leadership within the gang involved directing criminal activities, including assaults on both inmates and correctional officers, as well as managing the distribution of illicit substances within the prison system. His ability to control these operations despite the restrictive environment of Pelican Bay's Security Housing Unit, SHU, demonstrated his deep-rooted ties and unwavering commitment to the Mexican Mafia. Arzate's violent tendencies were evident during his time at Pelican Bay. On April 21, 2024, an incident occurred that underscored his dangerous nature. During dayroom activities, a physical altercation broke out between 2 inmates, Michael R. Chalonnet and Joseph A. Quintero. The fight quickly escalated, and by the time officers intervened, Chalonnet had suffered multiple puncture wounds. Despite the efforts of medical staff, Chalonnet was pronounced dead later that evening. A subsequent search of the section revealed an inmate-manufactured weapon linking Arzate to the incident. This event highlighted the lethal environment within Pelican Bay and Arzate's continued involvement in orchestrating and getting involved with violence. Arzate's ability to carry out assaults and maintain control over illicit operations, even while incarcerated, showcases his dangerous influence within the prison system. And today, Omar Arzate remains at Pelican Bay State Prison, serving his lengthy sentence. Number 3. Juan Martinez of the Mexican Mafia. Juan Martinez, a notorious figure within the Mexican Mafia, has built a reputation as one of the most feared and dangerous members of the gang. Born in 1977, Martinez's life of crime began at an early age, eventually leading him to join the Mexican Mafia. Martinez's affiliation with the Mexican Mafia solidified in the early 2000s, where he quickly rose through the ranks due to his ruthlessness and loyalty. Martinez's position within the gang was that of an enforcer, a role that required him to carry out violent acts on behalf of the gang's leadership. His neck tattoo of the number 13, a symbol of the Mexican Mafia and its offshoot, the Sureño Gang, marked his allegiance to the organization. Martinez's criminal career is marked by a series of violent acts and illegal enterprises that showcased his dangerous nature. He was heavily involved in substance trafficking, extortion, and manslaughter conspiracies, often working closely with other prison gangs, including the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas. In 2019, Martinez was implicated in a major racketeering case alongside over a dozen alleged Aryan Brotherhood members and associates. The indictment revealed that Martinez had conspired with these leaders to distribute illicit substance, further solidifying his reputation as a key player in the gang's substance operations. One of the most significant events in Martinez's criminal history occurred on a fateful day at California State Prison, Sacramento. On that day, Martinez, along with fellow inmate Ray Cisco Martinez, orchestrated the murder of Michael Mosca Torres, a high-ranking member of the Mexican mafia known for his ability to generate substantial illicit revenue. The attack took place around 9 a.m., resulting in Torres' demise. Torres, 59, was widely recognized as a moneymaker for the Mexican mafia, controlling multi-million-dollar substance, fraud, robbery, and extortion rackets across the United States. His slaughter shocked the prison community, as it appeared to be an internal attack within the Mexican mafia itself. Authorities believe that the termination was motivated by power struggles and disputes over the control of the gang's lucrative criminal enterprises. Number 2. Antonio Guillen of the Nuestra Familia gang. Guillen's criminal activities were extensive and far-reaching. As a high-ranking member of the NF, he was involved in coordinating operations that included extortion, violent assaults, and the orchestration of homicides against rival gang members. His role in the gang extended beyond mere participation. He was a central figure in devising and executing the gang's most dangerous and high-profile missions. This relentless pursuit of power and control over the gang's operations made him a key figure in the NF's leadership, feared by both allies and enemies alike. In 2008, Guillen's criminal activities caught up with him when he was arrested and indicted on multiple charges, including racketeering, conspiracy to commit butchery, and substance trafficking. His indictment was part of a larger federal operation aimed at dismantling the leadership of the Nuestra Familia, which had become increasingly powerful and violent over the years. Guillen's conviction led to a life sentence, and on July 21, 2011, Guillen was transferred to Pelican Bay State Prison, one of California's most secure facilities, where he was placed in the Secure Housing Unit, SHU. Despite these conditions at SHU, Guillen continued to wield influence within the Nuestra Familia, orchestrating gang activities from within his cell through covert communication methods. Guillen's notoriety was further amplified during the 2013 hunger strike, which he played a significant role in organizing. Number 1. Joseph Quintero of the Nuestra Familia gang. Quintero's journey to Pelican Bay State Prison started with a conviction that would define the rest of his life. On December 2, 2021, he was transferred from Los Angeles County to serve a life sentence with the possibility of parole for first-degree butchery as a second striker. This sentence reflected his deep entanglement with violent crime, a pattern that continued even behind bars. Quintero's role within the Nuestra Familia extended beyond mere membership. He was involved in orchestrating and executing criminal activities that demonstrated his commitment to the gang's brutal methods. His role in the gang involved not only carrying out violent acts, but also managing the distribution of controlled substances within the prison system. This was further evidenced by an additional sentence he received while incarcerated. On September 7, 2023, Quintero was sentenced to an extra 2 years for possession of a controlled substance in prison. This incident highlighted his ongoing involvement in the illicit activities that sustained the NF's power both inside and outside prison walls. And on April 21, 2024, during what should have been a routine dayroom activity at Pelican Bay State Prison, Quintero's violent nature came to the fore once again. A physical altercation erupted between Quintero and another inmate, Michael R. Chalonnet. The fight quickly escalated, and despite the intervention of correctional officers and medical staff, the situation took a deadly turn. Chalonnet was found with multiple stab wounds, and despite being transported to a nearby hospital, he was pronounced dead at 7:47 p.m. The subsequent investigation uncovered an inmate-manufactured weapon in the vicinity of the altercation, linking Quintero directly to the fatal incident. This event was a stark reminder of Quintero's dangerous presence within the prison system. His ability to engage in such violent acts, even under the tight security of Pelican Bay, underscored his deep commitment to the NF's code and his ruthless approach to conflicts. The altercation that led to Chalonnet's demise was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of behavior that defined Quintero's life within the gang. Today, Joseph Quintero remains incarcerated at Pelican Bay State Prison, where he continues to serve his life sentence.